What if turning lead into gold was never really about metal? What if it was a secret psychological map left by ancient philosophers to transform the lead of your own chaotic mind into the gold of true spiritual freedom? The brilliant psychologist Carl Jung called this the great work. Understanding it was considered so powerful that its true meaning was hidden for centuries behind cryptic symbols and strange rituals. This is the forbidden knowledge of the alchemy in your mind. If you're ready to discover these secrets and understand the forces that have been shaping your life without you even realizing it, then you're in the right place. For centuries, the alchemist has been a caricature. We picture some secretive old man, hunched over bubbling potions, obsessed with turning worthless lead into gold. This image of a greedy, primitive chemist has been burned into our collective imagination. But what if that was a misunderstanding? What if the real secret was so valuable and so personal that it could only be expressed in riddles? The alchemists themselves were masters of mystery. They wrote in paradoxes and veiled their work in symbols so dense only a true initiate could hope to penetrate them. They spoke of dragons and lions, of kings and queens, of death and rebirth. Historians often dismiss them as failed scientists, and theologians call them heretics. For hundreds of years, the true meaning of their great work remained hidden in plain sight, brushed off as the ramblings of charlatans. But they weren't trying to create physical gold. They were trying to create themselves. The laboratory wasn't a place of chemistry, but a mirror for the human soul. And the lead they wanted to transform was a heavy, raw, chaotic state of the ordinary, unconscious mind. It wasn't until the 20th century that someone finally found the key to this ancient puzzle box, the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. During a profound midlife crisis, a period he called his confrontation with the unconscious, Jung began having intense visions and dreams. He recorded all of it in what would later become his legendary, and for many years private, red book. In these visions, he kept seeing the same bizarre and powerful symbols he'd read about in obscure alchemical texts: snakes devouring their own tails, sacred marriages, and mystical fountains. He started to suspect that the alchemists weren't madmen. In fact, he realized they had been projecting their own inner psychological dramas onto the chemicals in their labs. They had unknowingly created a perfect map of the soul's journey toward wholeness. In his groundbreaking work, Psychology and Alchemy, Jung laid out his revolutionary discovery. Alchemy was symbolic representation of a universal process of psychological growth he called individuation. This is a lifelong journey of bringing together the conscious and unconscious parts of our mind to become a complete, whole individual. The alchemists weren't just describing chemical reactions, they were describing you. So what is this map? How does it guide us from the lead of an unexamined life to the gold of self-realization? The alchemists broke down the great work into a series of transformative stages, each with its own psychological challenge. The journey starts with a substance they called the prima materia. The prima materia, or first matter, is the starting point. It's the raw, chaotic, messy stuff of existence. Psychologically, this is our own unconsciousness. It's the lead of our everyday suffering, our anxieties, our unexamined traumas, our destructive patterns, and our feelings of being lost. It's a confusing, painful, raw material of your life. The alchemist said this substance is worthless and found everywhere, yet contains a secret to the entire work. And that's a profound paradox. The very lead of your suffering is the only substance from which your goal can be made. You can't start this journey by pretending you're not in the dark. You have to start with the darkness itself. This journey unfolds through three primary stages of color: black, white, and red. The first stage is Nigredo, which means a blackening. This is the dark night of the soul. To begin the work, The alchemists had to take the prima materia and burn it, causing it to break down, decay, and turn black. This was a process of death and dissolution. Psychologically, Nigredo is a confrontation with your own shadow, the part of you that you repress, deny, and project onto other people. It's a painful but necessary descent into the underworld of your own psyche. This is where you're forced to look at your failures, your secret shames, and your deepest fears without turning away. It often shows up as a life crisis, a depression, a painful loss, or the collapse of your old identity. Everything you thought you were dissolves into chaos. The alchemist had a saying, solve et coagula, dissolve and recreate. You have to be broken down before you can be built back up. This stage is terrifying, but it's the absolute requirement for any real change. As Jung famously said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Out of the total blackness of Nigredo, a new light starts to emerge. This is the albedo, or the whitening. After the long burn, a purification happens. The alchemist would wash the blackened matter until it became a brilliant, shining white, like the moon. Psychologically, albedo represents illumination and clarity. Having confronted your shadow, you begin to see what's essential and what's not. You're no longer controlled by unconscious impulses because you can finally see them. This stage is about emotional cleansing, forgiveness for yourself and others, and getting a new, objective look at your life. It's like walking out of a long, dark tunnel into the dawn. The chaos of Nigredo gives way to inner peace. Jung does warn of a danger here, though, the risk of spiritual inflation, where you mistake this initial clarity for the final goal. The soul has been purified, but it hasn't been fully reunited with the body. The final stage is Rubedo, or the reddening. Many alchemical texts also mention a fourth stage, a yellowing called citronidas, that comes before this, but Jung often focuses on three main stages for simplicity. In this final phase, the alchemist applies intense, controlled heat again, causing the white substance to unite with a red spirit, which results in the legendary philosopher's stone. This is symbolized by the rising sun, the phoenix resurrected from ash, and the sacred marriage of the Red King and the White Queen. Psychologically, Rubedo is the ultimate integration of opposites. It's a union of conscious and unconscious, light and shadow, masculine and feminine, spirit and body. This is the peak of the individuation process. You're no longer just aware of your different parts. You become a unified whole. This isn't about reaching some state of boring perfection, but about the ability to live with the paradoxes of your nature in a dynamic, creative, and passionate way. This is the birth of the true self, a state of wholeness and freedom. The gold isn't denial of our flawed humanity, but a radiant embrace of everything we are. So what is the gold? What is this philosopher's stone? It's not immortality or endless cash. The treasure the alchemists were really after was ownership of their own minds. It is freedom from being a puppet to your own unconscious hang-ups and old wounds. It's the ability to find meaning, not by avoiding suffering, but by transforming it. The great work is a map to reclaiming the parts of yourself you've left behind. It's a process for healing the fundamental split in the modern mind, the one between our rational ego and the deep, instinctual wisdom of the soul. To achieve Rubedo is to become the alchemist of your own life, able to consciously take part in your own evolution. It is to live an authentic life, guided not by what society expects, but by the compass of your own integrated self. That is the true meaning of spiritual liberation. It isn't an escape from the world, but a deeper engagement with it, armed with the wisdom born from the fires of your own transformation. The forbidden knowledge of alchemy was never about metal. It was about us. It's a timeless and powerful truth. Locked within the lead of our deepest struggles is the raw material for our greatest transformation. The journey from the blackness of Nigredo to the purification of albedo to the final union of Rubedo isn't just an ancient myth. It is the blueprint for human growth. This map has been left for you. It's both a challenge and a promise. A challenge to face the darkness you've been avoiding, and a promise that if you do, you'll uncover a strength and wholeness you never thought possible. This knowledge was hidden not because it was false, but because it's so powerfully true. It places the responsibility for your own salvation right where it belongs, in your own hands. So I'll ask you, which stage of this journey do you feel you're on right now? Are you in the chaotic breakdown of Nigredo, the clarifying purification of Albedo, or are you striving for the final, passionate union of the Rubedo? Share your journey in the comments below. And if this sparks something in you, subscribe and join us as we continue to uncover the hidden truths of the human psyche. The great work is waiting.